Some mornings begin the same way they always have. You prepare a familiar bowl of oatmeal, the kind you've trusted for years. It feels like the right choice, the steady, healthy option you've been told supports heart health, digestion, and long-term wellness. And yet, something feels different now. Instead of steady energy, you may notice hunger returning sooner than expected, or a subtle heaviness, fogginess, or dip in focus not long after eating. That experience can feel confusing. If oatmeal is considered one of the healthiest breakfast foods, why doesn't it feel as supportive as it once did? And why does your body seem to respond differently after 60? These questions matter, and they're more common than most people realize. They aren't a sign that you're doing something wrong. They're a sign that your body's needs are shifting. After 60, nutrition becomes less about what's healthy on paper and more about how food actually feels in your body. The same foods that once provided steady fuel can start to behave differently as digestion, metabolism, and blood sugar regulation change. Oatmeal is one of the clearest examples of this shift. It can be helpful to pause here and sit with that idea. A food can still be nutritious and no longer feel stabilizing on its own. Both things can be true at the same time. Oatmeal is primarily a carbohydrate. Even though it's considered a complex one, it still breaks down into glucose in the body. Earlier in life, that process was often smooth and well-regulated. But with age, the body's ability to manage blood sugar can change. Insulin response may be slower or less efficient. That means the rise and fall of energy after a carbohydrate-heavy meal can feel more noticeable. You may recognize this pattern. You eat oatmeal and feel satisfied at first. Then, an hour or two later, energy drops, hunger returns, or focus fades. That dip can quietly shape the rest of your morning. Tasks feel harder to start. Patience runs thinner than you expect. This doesn't mean oatmeal suddenly became unhealthy. It means your body may now need more balance than oatmeal alone provides, and that balance matters more after 60. What that balance really means is how different systems work together after you eat. Not just fullness, but steadiness. Not just calories, but how your body stays regulated over the next few hours. After 60, the body tends to feel best when blood sugar rises more slowly, digestion feels supported, and the nervous system stays calm. Balance comes from pairing foods so energy is released gradually instead of all at once. When meals feel balanced, the body doesn't have to scramble to correct highs and lows. This kind of balance often shows up as fewer energy dips, steadier focus, and less urgency to snack soon after eating. It creates a feeling of being held by the meal, rather than propped up briefly. And that sense of steadiness becomes increasingly valuable as the body becomes more sensitive to change. Digestion also plays a role here. As we age, stomach acid levels and digestive enzyme production can shift. That can change how efficiently certain foods are broken down and absorbed. Oatmeal is high in soluble fiber, which is generally beneficial. But for some people, especially later in life, that fiber can slow digestion too much or feel heavy. Instead of steady energy, it may create a sense of fullness without sustained fuel. There's often a subtle disconnect here. You feel full but not nourished, satisfied but not steady. There's also the question of protein. Protein needs increase with age, but many traditional breakfasts don't reflect that. Oatmeal on its own contains very little protein. Without enough protein, blood sugar can rise and fall more quickly. Protein helps slow digestion and stabilize energy. When it's missing, even healthy foods can feel less steady. You may have experienced this on a busy morning. You eat a bowl of oatmeal, feel fine at first, and head into your day. By mid-morning, you're suddenly reaching for a snack or feeling irritable and unfocused. That moment isn't about willpower. It's physiology. Your body is asking for a steadier foundation. Another factor is how sensitive the nervous system becomes to blood sugar shifts over time. Small changes that once went unnoticed may now feel more pronounced. A slight dip can translate into fatigue, lightheadedness, or mental fog. This sensitivity can feel frustrating. You may wonder why your tolerance feels lower than it used to. But it's often a sign of awareness, not decline. This can be especially frustrating when you believe you're doing everything right. You chose a food labeled as heart-healthy. You followed long-standing advice. But the body doesn't run on labels. It responds to combinations, timing, and context. And that context changes with age. Have you noticed that certain breakfasts leave you feeling calm and grounded, while others feel rushed or unsettled? That contrast isn't random. It's information your body is offering. But learning to trust that information takes time. Many people override it because they think they should feel fine, but the body's feedback is often more accurate than guidelines. Oatmeal often works best when it's part of a balanced meal, not the whole foundation. After 60, the body tends to respond better when carbohydrates are paired with protein, healthy fats, and sometimes additional fiber sources. This slows digestion and supports steadier energy. This doesn't require drastic changes or complicated rules. It's about adjusting the frame, not eliminating familiar foods. Oatmeal doesn't need to disappear. It may just need support. Adjusting the frame means thinking about what sits alongside oatmeal, not what replaces it. On its own, oatmeal is gentle and familiar, but after 60, the body often responds better when that softness is paired with something grounding. Support comes from adding elements that slow digestion and extend steadiness. This might look like including a source of protein, such as eggs on the side, yogurt mixed in, or a spoonful of nut butter stirred through. Healthy fats can help as well, bringing a sense of satisfaction that lasts longer than carbohydrates alone. Even small additions can change how the meal feels over the next few hours. Fiber from berries, seeds, or a sprinkle of nuts can also shift the experience. Instead of energy rising quickly and fading just as fast, the body receives a more even signal. That steadiness often shows up as fewer mood swings, less irritability, and a more comfortable sense of fullness. Also keep in mind, balance doesn't have to look the same every day. Some mornings call for something warm and soft, others benefit from a contrasting texture or flavor. Keeping oatmeal on the table while varying what supports it allows familiarity and flexibility to exist together. There's also an emotional layer to this conversation. Oatmeal carries comfort, routine, and familiarity. It's often associated with care, simplicity, and doing what's right. For many people, it's tied to memories, early mornings, family kitchens, or a sense of taking care of yourself. Letting go of that expectation can feel like losing something. Letting go of the idea that one food should work forever can feel unsettling. But adaptation isn't failure, it's responsiveness. You may notice this same pattern with other foods too. Meals that once felt light now feel heavy. Foods that once satisfied now leave you searching for more. That doesn't mean your body is becoming difficult, it means it's becoming more honest. It's communicating more clearly what it needs. Have you ever paid attention to how long a meal actually carries you? Not how long it should last, but how long it truly does. That awareness is powerful. After 60, steadiness matters more than speed. Meals that digest slowly and evenly tend to support energy, mood, and focus better. Oatmeal alone may digest too quickly or too unevenly to provide that steadiness. This is where gentle experimentation can be helpful. Not strict rules, not fear-based avoidance. Just noticing how small adjustments change how you feel. Some people find that adding protein changes everything. Others notice that reducing portion size and pairing oatmeal with something savory helps. The goal isn't perfection, it's responsiveness. It can help to think of breakfast as a foundation rather than a checkbox. When the foundation is steady, the rest of the day feels more manageable. When it isn't, everything feels harder than it needs to be. It's also worth noting that stress plays a role. Stress hormones affect blood sugar and digestion. On high-stress mornings, even familiar foods can feel harder to tolerate. You may have noticed that oatmeal feels different on a calm weekend morning than on a rushed weekday. That difference matters. The nervous system influences digestion more than we often realize. Hydration, sleep, and movement also shape how the body responds to food. A breakfast that once felt fine may feel different after a restless night, because context always matters. This perspective shifts the question. Instead of asking, "Is oatmeal healthy?" you begin asking, "Is oatmeal supportive for me right now?" That question removes judgment. It invites curiosity, and it respects the body's changing needs. There's no universal answer here. Some people continue to enjoy oatmeal regularly with no issues. Others need to adjust how and when they eat it. What matters is permission. Permission to listen. Permission to adapt without guilt. If oatmeal no longer feels steady on its own, that doesn't mean you've lost tolerance. It means your body is asking for a different balance, one that supports energy rather than chasing it. Have you noticed how much calmer the day feels when breakfast truly holds you? That calm isn't just physical, it shapes mood, patience, and focus. Food after 60 becomes less about rules and more about relationship, a relationship built on feedback, trust, and adjustment. Oatmeal is simply one part of that conversation. You don't need to abandon what's familiar. You just need to let familiarity evolve. And that evolution can bring more steadiness, not less. And there's something quietly reassuring about that. It means the goal isn't to find one perfect breakfast and repeat it forever. The goal is to feel supported, and to know you can adjust when support changes. Have you ever noticed how much pressure can sneak into healthy eating, even when no one is saying it out loud? If a food is labeled healthy, you can feel like you're supposed to tolerate it, or supposed to feel better after it. But your body isn't grading you, it's guiding you. This is where the most helpful senior health tips tend to be the simplest ones. Instead of asking whether you followed the rules, you ask whether you felt steady afterward. And that small shift turns nutrition into care rather than control. Sometimes the most important thing you can do is trust the pattern, not the moment. One off morning doesn't mean anything is wrong, but when you notice the same dip again and again, your body is giving you a clear signal worth honoring. As this idea settles, it may help to release old expectations. The body you have now isn't the body you had at 40, and that's not a loss. It's a shift, and that shift invites a gentler approach to nutrition, one that values how food feels over how it's labeled, and one that supports long-term energy, comfort, and clarity. When you respond this way, food becomes supportive again, not something to manage or fear, but something that works with you. Every day is another chance to care for the body that's carried you this far. Keep learning, keep moving, keep believing in your own strength, because aging isn't slowing down, it's leveling up. If today's message resonated, take a moment to subscribe, leave a thought in the comments, or share this video with someone who could use a little encouragement. Because, together, we're proving that aging well isn't the exception, it's the standard.